You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. We're going to be talking to Steve Quayle in the next segment. We're going to talk to him about his take on Jade Helm, what he's concerned about. And of course, we played another possibility that's been brought to our attention by some veterans. Paul Joseph Watson did a video on it. We played that in the last half hour. Looking at the map, rotating it a little bit, you get a geographical alignment with Middle Eastern countries, and the designation of friendly and hostile kind of roughly corresponds to that, as well as the terrain that they would be seeing there. So there's concern by many that this might be training for a Middle Eastern war that they've been chomping at the bits to get into for many years now. As we have seen, they had a agenda of 7 countries and 5 years. Wesley Clark talked about that. And so are they going to finally be able to get on with that battle plan? I don't know what Steve Quayle's take is on this. I'm anxious to hear what his take is. We're concerned about the drills that they've been having for the American people, going to war with the scenarios of internal martial law. That's what I'm most concerned about. But I'm concerned about us getting involved in yet another war as well. I think we need to step back and say, what is the mission of the military? What is the valid mission of the military? Are we going to increase our security by having a war throughout the Middle East? Are we going to increase our security by having a war with Russia over the Ukraine? And we're going to talk about that in the third hour. We're going to go over a video that was put out by the Stratfor organization. Actually, it was the president speaking at a conference, talking about how the existential threat for Russia is the Ukraine, and how the existential threat for us is to make sure that we keep a corridor between Germany and Russia. And so we've got conflicting existential threats here, don't we? So we're going to talk about that, as well as some other admissions that he made in that speech that are kind of interesting. Before we go to the segment with Steve Quayle, though, I want to go over some of the news that's breaking that I think really illustrates the insanity of the war on drugs. Here we've got Kim.com, and of course he's being accused not of dealing with drugs, but of course they're coming after him with civil asset forfeiture, which they created with the war on drugs. See how it metastasizes into different areas. They're saying that he had videos and copyrighted material on his site, and so they shut it down, and they're coming after him. They confiscated $67 million worth of assets, things like cash, property, luxury cars, jet skis, art. The U.S. government, they say, this is an article from Daily Mail, won its civil forfeiture case. Now, we're going to talk about whether they won anything or whether it's a case against Kim.com and the Megala Upload founder. And he's lost $67 million in assets as a result. He no longer, they say, owns these properties, these luxury cars. The U.S. now owns more than a dozen bank accounts that he had in Hong Kong and New Zealand. But this is what he said. This is what Kim.com said. He said he indicated that his defeat represents the, quote, sad state of the U.S. justice system. I would agree, because this is why. He said, by labeling me a fugitive, the U.S. court has allowed the U.S. government to legally steal all of my assets without any trial, without any due process, without any of the tests of the merits. The asset forfeiture was a default judgment. They didn't win a case. They didn't have a case. They didn't take him to court. All they said was, we're going to take all of his property. And again, this goes even further back. This goes back to the RICO statutes of that were enacted during the Nixon administration to go after organized crime, saying that we can't get convictions against these guys unless we steal all their assets, because they'll be able to hire good lawyers. Once we allow that to happen, once we broke that chain saying you have to find people guilty, the penalty that you hit them with has to be proportional to the crime. Once we broke that, then what we got from Ronald Reagan was civil asset forfeiture, where they're going after property because they say that it's affiliated with a drug crime. And now we see this type of thing where they can go to somebody that's in another country, take all of his assets, without finding him guilty. They haven't even put him on trial. That's the sad state of the justice system. I absolutely agree with him. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Steve Quayle talking about Jade Helm.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Alex Jones here. For the last 2 years, I've been working with top doctors, nutritionists, and chemists to design a nutraceutical formulation that has truly life-changing health benefits. Introducing the all-new Ancient Defense Herbal Immunity Blend. Experience the benefits of combining over 14 ancient herbs and extracts with exciting new advances in nutraceutical science. Visit InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139. That's InfoWarsLife.com. Aging starts at the cellular level. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries. During that period, key patented compounds have focused on mitochondrial growth, nerve growth, and rejuvenation. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. We now have the synergistic solution, DNA Force, just one of the key compounds. BioPQQ is backed by major clinical studies and over 175 PubMed-listed published studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.
Using unparalleled research in the development of a synergistic formulation based around the key concepts of superoxygenation, the next level in cleansing is here. With key ingredients backed by real clinical studies, the new Oxy Powder, available through InfoWars Life, was invented during Dr. Group's research on the toxification of our bodies. Many herbal colon cleansers are harsh on the body and contain cheap and potentially dangerous ingredients, oftentimes full of synthetic fillers, GMOs, additives, or worse. Gently start cleaning your body with easy capsules that start working while you sleep. Oxy Powder does not require time off work, and there's no need for bad-tasting concoctions. Instead, Oxy Powder slowly releases monoatomic oxygen into the intestinal tract and body. Experience the astonishing cleansing power of superoxide and ozonide technology. Go to InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com to get started with Oxy Powder, or call 1-888-253-3139.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host today. We're going to go to Steve Quayle in just a moment. We're going to talk to him about the Jade Helm exercise, what he believes is behind this. What's the purpose of it? I'm very troubled just by the scale and scope of it, by the actions that we've seen from our military. One of the things I think got a lot of people scared was this nationwide emergency alert test that happened yesterday, mainly on the East Coast. This is an article that Paul Joseph Watson had up yesterday. He said it began around 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, was broadcast in Washington, D.C., Indiana, Kentucky, Maryland, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia. It said that there was going to be an alert that would run from 11 a.m. until 12 midnight, and the message was up for about 10 minutes. At no point were the viewers advised that the alert was only a test. The question is, were they a day early on April Fools or what? I mean, what do we do with this government that is constantly doing these types of things? Are they trying to test our reaction to them? Is this a mistake? Are they just totally incompetent? Is it all of the above? I don't know. Now, he points out that, of course, last October, we had another very suspicious emergency alert from the White House, interrupted TV viewers across America and told them to stand by, tune into their phone. Now, they blamed that one. That was AT&T. They said that was some nationally syndicated radio station that sent out the alert message by mistake. Maybe that was. He says, despite the fact that only the federal government can send out EAS alerts. The alert system can only be activated by the president in times of an emergency, reported Fox 5. So this is the second time we've seen this. The last time was October, so that's, what, about 6 months? They're putting out these nationwide alerts that there's an emergency coming up, and nothing that says that it was a test. We're all familiar with that. You know, this was just a test. If it had been an actual emergency, they don't do that anymore either. Constantly keeping the American people in a state of questioning what is real and what isn't. That is part of a massive psyop, if nothing else. And, you know, though we've got a special here at InfoWars this week, we're not fooling you with free shipping. It's going to start today and go through Friday. And all the products at the InfoWars store, but especially if you combine that with the special, it's the last day of the free bottle of Ancient Defense with 2 bottles of X2. There's only a few hundred bottles left. It'll sell out today. That's the special where you get a free bottle of Ancient Defense if you get 2 bottles of Survival X2. That's the nascent iodine that we have. And again, there's free shipping from today until Friday. That's our no fooling free shipping special at the InfoWars store at InfoWarsLife.com. Let's go to Steve Quayle now. Steve was one of the original founders of the PrEP movement. He's been a talk radio host for 20 years. He was a lone voice 20 years ago saying that the Chinese and Russians would ultimately back their currencies with gold, that they would want to cash these in on something besides the petrodollar. He's the author of 10 books. His most recent, entitled Xenogenesis, Turning Men into Monsters. He wrote Breathe No Evil 15 years ago on understanding bioweapons before anyone thought it was a problem. I wonder what he thinks about what's going on in Tulane with this Burkholderia pseudomallei that got out of the lab, and they still don't know how it got out. Maybe we'll talk to him about that. But primarily, I wanted to talk to him about Jade Helm. Joining us now is Steve Quayle. Thank you, Steve.
Wow, David, good. It's really nice to be on with you because Jade Helm, I think, needs to be put in the larger context. This is the first time in history that a 2-month-long operation is going to be focusing on the American public. We know that the same tactics that are being proposed for the exercise to take place between the hours of midnight and 4 or 5 in the morning is exactly what the special operations troops did prior to the bombing of Iraq and all of our different Middle Eastern ventures, whether it's Afghanistan. In other words, you move the special operations community in prior to an event. Now, remember, I want to take everybody back to Larry Greatwall in his book, No Place to Hide. If people remember, he was the one that penetrated the weather underground when Bill Ayers and 24 other elite from Ivy League trained schools were talking about the necessity in the early 70s of killing 25 million Americans, and prior to the killing of them, moving them into detention camps for re-education. Now, I know, David, that you've read his stuff, but here's the larger context. I think that people are being tied up with the, the events or the implementation of how they're going to round up people and kill them, and they're forgetting the idea that when Bill Ayers was making this comment, he was deadly serious. Now, I've just taken the population density at that point in history, moved it into our point in history, and the numbers I've heard from special operations, active duty generals in the past, contemporary military and intelligence agents, is they're up to 80 million to 100 million people. So I think if people put it into context, notice the change. Notice the change when Middle East terrorists became obviously embraced by this administration. Now, that's the context. I think that people have got to understand that context, David, because what we're talking about is not an exercise. When the local police are told to stand down and not respond to gunfire, by the way, it's a live fire exercise. When we've seen massive YouTube videos, you guys at Infowars.com have led the charge in showing all the videos coming into you from all over the country. People are now starting to get it. And the point that I want to really get across to everyone today, and thank you for taking this hour out of your time to interview me, is this. This is the full-scale implementation of the red, the blue, and the green list. The red list are people. Now, do you remember, David, and I'll let you obviously respond because that's just my intro, the days years ago when gun owners' homes are being GPSed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we warned about that, and we tried to get people to understand. I was literally in my